May I come in, sir?
Yes, please do.
Good morning, sir.
Good afternoon. Please take a seat.
Thank you, sir.
You're Mr. Kunal.
Yes, sir.
Kunal, will English be your preferred medium for interview?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Kunal, you must have seen that we have taken several steps when it comes to COVID. And one of the steps is that we have capped your chair at a safe distance. So you can take advantage of it. If you wish to remove your mask, you can consider removing it. Would you like to remove that?
Yes, sir.
Please do. Comfortable? Can we start?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Kunal, to begin with, let us know something about you.
Sir, as you know, my name is Kunal Yadav. I belong to Rewari district of Haryana, where I have done my schooling from. Thereafter, I have completed my BSc Chemistry Honours from St. Stephen's College, Delhi University. After that, sir, I joined State Bank of India and worked as probationary officer for 18 months, where I was under training. I joined Income Tax Department after quitting my SBI job and have been working there since then, sir. And sir, I want to be inducted into civil services because this is where I feel the roles and responsibilities that I'll be provided will complement my potential and I'll be able to do some good for the overall society.
So you're basically an income tax inspector.
Yes, sir.
You had been a banker earlier.
Yes, sir.
Though your education was in sciences, you did your chemistry honors from Stephen's College.
Yes, sir.
So this change from being a science student to getting into banking, and now even now it is more or less the same number crunching. So do you believe that you adapted well to this change, or you still a science student deep inside?
Sir, I believe that I have adapted well. In fact, I think of it as one of my strengths where I can work in different departments and I switched easily. So I did not feel any hiccups doing that, sir.
Okay. Kunal, you're basically from Haryana.
Yes, sir.
And Haryana, when we look at the social parameters and different aspects of social development in Haryana, Haryana is a curious case where the economic development, rather than bringing social development, actually resulted in social degradation to some extent. Don't you agree with this? And if it is the case, why economic development did not bring the necessary positive social changes?
Sir, Haryana does present a paradox when comparing the economic indicators to the social indicators. But sir, if we look at the recent data, in 2020 civil registration system data, we have improved considerably in terms of sex ratio as well as child sex ratio, where we have improved from around 870 to 920. So we are a work in progress. Similarly with child sex ratio, though sir, we have been lacking in social development, but I feel there have been several steps taken in this regard and they will continue to show results in the coming years. There are reasons for poor social indicators, sir. One of them is patriarchal society in Haryana. There have been menace of khap panchayats and caste-based and gender-based discrimination, which have resulted in poor performance there, sir.
Well, I'm happy that you actually mentioned this change from 870 to 920, and anybody who knows a little mathematics understand that this data is of the doubtful integrity. You cannot mathematically change sex ratio overnight, right? Even the child sex ratio. For that, as you mentioned, that you have to actually change the society before you actually are able to change if the data is authentic. Mathematically, it is possible only if people start getting into male feticide or male sex-selected abortions, which is obviously is not happening, right? So, don't you think this data is to be looked into? You're getting the whole thing?
Yes,
Mathematically, it seems impossible, unless, of course, we are killing male fetus.
Sir, I am not sure about mathematical feasibility of this being the correct data, but sir,
But sudden change should ring some bell. You are an income tax inspector. Whenever you see such entries in any ledger, don't you see some bells ringing?
So this change has been the product of last 10 years of hard work by the government, and sir, I think 2021 census exercise would be able to confirm the data up to an extent, sir, and then I'll think I'll be better placed to look at the authenticity of the data that has come now.
Fine, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So, you are what income tax officer? You are
Sir, I am an income tax inspector.
inspector.
Yes, sir.
Previously, you were in what bank?
Yes, sir.
Probationary officer.
Yes, sir.
Okay. My question is what RBI has given a clear-cut order of acquisition of Maharashtra Punjab Cooperative Bank to what a small financial bank organization. My question is, what is the rationality behind such order? RBI has given order or directives, better to say directives, of acquisition of Maharashtra Punjab Cooperative Banks. What is the rationality behind this? You know this controversy?
Yes, sir.
Please carry.
So this whole controversy relates to the PMC bank crisis. If I'm not wrong, in 2019 it came up for the first time.
Continue. Yes, please.
Wherein RBI found that there were several governance lacuna as well as the loan portfolios were given to one entity.
Good. I could understand. My next question is what? Look, RBI monetary policy for several successive quarters are almost actually constant. No change in what interest rate policy, that is bank rate, reverse repo rate, almost same. And again, the what reserve rate policy is also constant. That is what CAS, APCO, SLR, cash reserve ratio, everything is constant. And you see there is a fluctuation in our inflation.
Yes, sir.
Last month there was 12% on wholesale. Now it is 9%, still high. But there is no change in what? RBI policy. And RBI policy mainly interested to control liquidity in market. So why such type of RBI policy? Is it regressive or what progressive?
So monetary policy in COVID times have been taking into consideration various factors. Sir, it is true that there have not been much changes in terms of the rates, but sir, RBI has accommodated concerns every now and then, whereas CRR ratio was relaxed to 3% for a certain time period, and it has been
for
discontinued
several successive
now.
quarters constant. Look, after 3 months, first quarter, again what monetary policy is what? No change.
Yes, sir.
So what is the rationality?
Sir, RBI strives to augment the liquidity in the market, which is required for the economic growth. But sir, the inflation aspect we are looking at are due to the temporary supply side disruptions.
Okay, my next question. Look, you are a great lover of TT, table tennis, as you mentioned. And there was a policy that was called properly ping pong policy in 1960s, late 1960s, in between US and China, right? Is there any actually tendency currently? Joe Biden means US and China is going to revive ping pong policy. When it happened, look, the enemies was at a apex level. Today also, USA and China is what actually doing confrontation at highest possible level. Do you consider this is the climax? And again, USA and China in near future is going to revive such type of policy that is called ping pong policy. What's your estimation as a student of political science international relation?
Sir, from an international relations perspective, China is a revisionist power and it strives to change the international rules and orders as per their rising.
Good.
And therefore, their rise has been marked with several contentious issues where they have shown aggression in South China Sea, blatant regard with respect to trade policies, as well as, sir, dumping of goods and their debt trap policy with respect to BRI. So, sir, there are concerns with respect to China, and, sir, USA is the only superpower we have in today's time. So, USA wants to maintain its hegemony in world order. So, it is trying to resist China's rise.
Means you can't see what any revival of what enemies in near future, no change. This actually confrontation will continue. Last question. Your hobby is traveling. Latest, which area you have traveled, or whatever the area you travel, which you like most? Just you tell me, national, international, whatever the visit you did.
Sir, with regards to traveling, I like to travel to natural places where.
What traveled?
Yes, sir.
What area you have traveled, natural place?
Yes, sir. Sir, last time I visited Udaipur, but that was before pandemic.
Look, Udaipur is what actually land of artificial as well as natural lakes, right? One of the most beautiful lake is Fateh Sagar. How it forms? What is the cause behind formation of Fateh Sagar? Is it natural or artificial, or partially natural, partially artificial?
Sir, I am not sure about it.
What is the importance of islands in Fateh Sagar? You have seen in several films and you have visited.
Yes, sir. Sir, I think there are resting places for birds, migratory birds.
Okay, thank you.
Those islands. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Kunal, what is your UPSC roll number?
6300539, ma'am.
And what is the sum of it? Sum of the digits?
26, ma'am.
Okay. You have studied in St. Stephen's College.
Yes, ma'am.
Who was St. Stephen?
Ma'am, Saint Stephen is believed to be the first Christian martyr.
Martyr for what cause?
That I am not sure, ma'am.
Okay. So, you have worked in income tax department. Can you tell me something about faceless assessment, the recent reforms?
Ma'am, faceless assessment scheme aims to bring and reduce the interaction between the tax authorities and the taxpayer. So this is ICT enabled scheme wherein the returns will be filed online and the notices or the demand issue will be online, and there will be no interaction between the taxpayer and the authorities. Also, ma'am, the jurisdictional role of the assessing officer has been done away with, whereas a national e-assessment center will allocate random taxpayers to random authorities all over the country. So income tax officer or the assessing officer in Delhi can be looking at the income tax returns of someone from Chennai. So this has to do with reduction of the coercive nature of allegations that are against the departments and to make it more taxpayer friendly, ma'am.
Okay, and are there any hurdles in using this faceless assessment?
There were certain hurdles earlier and there are some now as well. Earlier there were many glitches in the software, ma'am. So the IT platform, even the new income tax platform has been witnessing several glitches. So that is one. Secondly, ma'am, the officers were itself not very trained in using the software. So there was one lacuna there. Thirdly, ma'am, there are sometimes the time limit for notices that have to be followed are given exemptions, and then there are certain delays occurring there. So it hampers the taxpayer.
From your DAF, I gather that you have left CAPF
Yes, ma'am.
service. Why?
Ma'am, I wanted to give similar kind of UPSC examinations while preparing for civil services. I knew that the training and the job, the rigorous nature of the job would not allow me to prepare for civil services as effectively as I could do in my current job. So I preferred not to join it.
Or were you frightened by the dangers associated with that job?
Ma'am, I would not call myself frightened from the job profile.
Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am.
But why did you give this exam if you were not willing to take this exam just for practice?
Yes, ma'am. Similar UPSC exams I wanted to give, and I felt that I should give CAPF examination.
And if you get a service which is not of your preference, will you leave that job again? If you are allocated some service from civil services which you don't prefer, What will you do?
Ma'am, I'll join the services and I'll continue preparing for the desired service.
Okay. My last question to you. Tell me, has women education led to increase in more divorce rate in India?
Ma'am, it would be wrong in my opinion to draw a correlation between women education and the rate of divorces. It can be simply linked to the empowerment of women in terms of awareness of their rights, in terms of their ability to speak up against violence as well as excesses committed over them. So if in a marriage a woman feels that they should not continue with it, the economic empowerment which has come due to education will allow them to sustain themselves and they will not be dependent on the male head of the family. So they can take independent decisions with regards to their life. And if it results into a divorce, ma'am, I think it is the individual's prerogative to decide on their marriage life.
Thank you, Kunal.
Thank you, ma'am.
Kunal.
Yes, sir.
Kunal, you have been a member of rural development.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you have mentioned in your DEF.
Yes, sir.
What is a rural area? How it is defined?
Sir, in legal terms, I am not aware about it.
Then which terms you are aware of?
Sir, there are certain boundaries which are decided for cities and towns. So the adjacent areas which do not fall in the boundary of cities and town, I presume they would be regarded as rural areas.
Suppose some suggestions from you are invited for development of rural area without letting the rural area die. What suggestion you would like to give?
Sir, I needed a clarification regarding the rural area not letting it die.
Yes, rural characteristics. There are some characteristics of rural area without letting it die.
Yes, sir.
How rural development can happen?
Sir, I think decentralized approach would be the foremost of my suggestions, wherein a revival of Panchayati Raj institutions, devolving more powers to them and responsibilities as well. Economy should be, sir, also based on the local approach.
Like, what is the resources of economy? Other than agriculture, obviously.
So we can work on the animal husbandry front, and there can be exports in terms of milk products, meat products, etc. Also, sir, there can be local artisans there, handicrafts, manufacturing, toy products, as we are also promoting. So, sir, in that manner, I think the potential can be tapped on a local approach.
Nowadays, rural tourism is being promoted. What do you mean by that?
Sir, our rural areas till now have not been that focused upon in terms of tourism development. So, revival of age-old structures, there can be palaces, there can be forts. If they can be revived and promoted as tourist places, it can lead to intrastate or localized travel, which will also help us in terms of COVID restrictions. So within a state, people can travel and adhere to the COVID norms as well, and revival of tourism industry can take place, sir.
Okay, suppose there is a rebirth occurs. Take it as a hypothetical condition, obviously. And you are given with choices. Which state you want to get birth in, other than your native state?
Yes, sir.
What state it would be?
Sir, if I could clarify, the conditions of other states would be same as they are today?
Yes.
Sir, I would like to be born in Jammu and Kashmir.
Why?
Sir, because I like traveling and there are so many natural, beautiful places that I would like to go. So I would like to be born in J&K.
Okay, suppose you are given with choices of 3 genders in your rebirth. Male, female and third gender. What gender would you like to pick up for yourself?
Sir, I do not necessarily have a priority or inclination towards any gender.
No, you have to choose one out of 3.
Sir, I would like to be born male again.
Why?
Sir, because I do not have any priority towards any gender and I chose what I am today. So I chose it again.
Okay, Kunal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Kunal, you have opted political science and international relations as part of your optional paper. The recent developments in the foreign policies vis-a-vis to India and its neighboring countries, we have seen a lot of the effort have been taken
Yes.
In terms of making the affairs more you can say, harmonious, but the kind of the relationship we are today enjoying are not the way that we have expected.
Yes, sir.
Whether it is the western borders, whether it's the eastern borders, do you think what kind of the challenges were there when we could not, make ourselves successful in this effort?
Sir, foreign policy in international relation is always in a state.
My domain of asking is neighboring country.
Yes, sir.
Right.
So foreign policy is naturally in a state of flux in today's time because there are so many regional developments happening. Though, sir, we have strained relations with some of our neighbors, but we have largely been able to maintain the warmth of the relations, in my opinion. There are certain challenges that have occurred recently, sir. First and foremost would be the rise of China and its challenge to India's identity and regional aspirations.
Even one of the smallest country called Maldives, there is a campaign that is called India Out campaign.
Yes, sir.
Where went wrong? Our Prime Minister is being known for making good relations and inviting the people, the state, head of the states in the ceremony, oaths taking ceremonies. Still, where went wrong?
Sir, I think different states are conducting their own foreign policies in terms of their own national interest. And I think, sir, we need to find more strategic convergence in terms of our objectives where we can work, sir. But, sir, there are particular issues with respect to each countries that are not common, and there are particular issues that we need to deal with. If I can give an example, sir.
Can you identify just single one problem with one country? This is like cause of concern vis-a-vis to this country, like India, Nepal, India, Pakistan, India, Maldives, India, Sri Lanka, just one issue where we can work out?
Sir, India-Nepal relations, there is political stability in Nepal, which does not augur well for us. So we need to work on that front. India, Sri Lanka, sir, China has recently occupied Eastern Terminal Container Project. So they have a strategic advantage in Indian Ocean now, where we feel that their radars could be installed and we will have security threat. So, sir, we could look at the Western Container Terminal Project if we can have our presence on ground. With respect to Bangladesh, sir, Bangladesh is also one of our closest neighbor and is important for us with respect to Northeast security. So, sir, if we can counter Chinese investments into that region, that would be beneficial for us.
Right, I got your point. Sticking to the same note, let's take the example of the human right aspect of the foreign policy. Right, United Nations Human Rights Commission, it has recently observed that from Kashmir to the violations of the civil liberties of the Indian citizens, they have been on the same page. The recent incident of Father Stain Swami will remain as a stain to the human rights regime in India. So, when we see the foreign human rights issues as a part of foreign policy, we are not maintaining a good record within India. So, how do you see this is also one of the reasons where we are lagging behind? And these are the observations from the international body, UN body.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Sir, we did face challenge in terms of their criticism of our human rights record, even during the Kashmir issue when there was revocation of Article 370 and the CA-NRC issue. But, sir, I think our diplomats were largely able to contain the damage and ensure that the image of India as a respectful, sir, I am not getting the exact word.
No problem. Just another question.
Yes,
you
sir.
are a student of the PSIR. As you might have heard or may have read The Prince by Machiavelli and Arthashastra by Kautilya, in a similar vein, Tarikh-e-Firozshahi was written. Those were the instructions to the king in medieval period in India by Ziauddin Barni. Can you point out some instructions which he has given into this? Do's and don'ts for the prince?
Sir, I have heard the name, but I am not sure about the content, and so I will not be able to answer that.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Kunal.
Yes, sir.
Kunal, you mentioned that you like solo traveling.
I am interested, sir.
If you just tell me, while we travel solo, how social biases of people affect our experiences?
So social acceptability, if I talk specifically about India, is still low for solo travelers. And during my solo traveling experiences, though I did not face any such issues, but I was certainly asked with curiosity as to why are you traveling solo and why not in a group. So sir, certainly it can impinge on someone's experiences where they might feel threatened in terms of security, as well as they might feel discriminated against. So sir, it can certainly affect, sir, but it is certainly gaining ground in the recent years. So I think slowly and steadily, sir, we will be moving towards solo traveling as a normal thing.
The solo travelers in India usually say that it is safe to travel solo in India only if you are an upper caste male person. Do you agree?
Sir, I would say that it would not be prudent to generalize this observation across genders or places.
Like, can you mention a few female solo travelers who have come out with pleasant experiences?
Sir, I do not know.
Do you believe it is just a limitation of the knowledge, or actually it's a comment in itself of state of the affairs?
Sir, at present it is limitation of my knowledge, since I do not know any female solo travelers at all. So with regards to their experience also, sir, I am not aware. So I'll have to read up and check on that, sir.
Recently, a solo traveler who have been traveling solo Europe extensively very categorically said in her travelogue that it is far more safer to travel solo as a woman in Europe than traveling in her own state, which is Haryana.
Yes, sir. I did come across this statement. It was put to the Chief Minister, if I am not wrong, of Haryana. Sir, there are issues with respect to women crime in India, and we are steadily, sir, improving on that front. So it acts as a hindrance in terms of attracting female solo travelers, because security is one of the most primary concern of a traveler. So sir, there are issues, I would admit it.
Okay, Kunal, you have been a banker earlier. If your life is a bank, tell me what is the interest?
Sir, my social relationships.
If your life is bank, social relationship is your interest, then what are NPAs?
Sir, not doing everything I would like to do.
Fine, Kunal, it was nice talking to you. Your interview is over, you can go now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Take your seat, Kunal.
Thank you, sir.
Tell me, how was it? Kahan theek ja raha hai? Where you believe that you need to work?
Sir, I felt largely it went okay, and I could revise a bit more on issues. I could be more pinpointed. When sir was asking about international relations, I should not have given background in some areas, I felt, sir. So I could be more crisp, I think.
Primarily, these are the areas, in fact, we also thought of. In general, Kunal, you're a good candidate. You carry nice personality. Your background is good, and you're currently in service. You've been through. You have tasted a few success in the past, which in fact adds to your personality. So that's why you're going to be a candidate. Board members will be welcoming in general. Coming to specifics of this interview, your entry is good, your sitting posture is good, the way you, I'll be coming to the verbal communication, but other aspect, your eye contact is good. In general, your hand movement and other non-verbal communication parameters are in place. It appears that you have taken good guidance on that, and you are following certain set of things, which is good. I mean, at most places these are good. On the verbal communication front, you have this habit of taking a long pause before you start your answer, right? Yes, I mean, it's a nice strategy in general. We have advised to many candidates who do not, who are not into this. But in your case, it is there's a feeling that it is becoming a little ritualistic and a little longish. So, my advice will be that this initial pause which you take before you start your answer, if you are in position to maybe shorten it a bit, it will be your interest, right? And it should appear natural. I don't know whether it should come natural or not, but for 30 minutes it should appear natural. Right now, sometimes it appears as if you are consciously stopping your answer so that it appears that you are thinking a lot. Otherwise, thinking posture is not bad. It is good. Yes. Other things, in general, your smile is good. At most times, you are smiling at right places, except a few occasions where it appeared that the smile was not at the right place, right? But otherwise, in general, your smile is also good. Coming to the content part, see, before that, the personality traits, in general, you appears to be honest person. You are claiming only those areas which you know. Otherwise, you are just leaving, which is good. Integrity is there. In general, presence of mind is also there. Whenever the questions of that order was asked, ठीक ठाक तरीके से आप आंसर दे रहे थे. The only area now you can probably work is in the content area. There are areas where, especially in the PSIR, I was expecting more insightful, crisp, as you said, to the point answers. Other areas, more or less, you are handling, but in the PSIR, a little revision should help. Similarly, in the current affairs general awareness thing, if there are gaps, you can fill them. So, only area you need to work on is basically a few things in communication and mostly about the content thing, right? All the best.
Thank you, sir. Sir, can I ask a clarificatory question? Sir, how could I answer those questions better which you asked about gender and state? I think state wala was okay in my opinion.
Your answer was backed by a good logic. See, there is no perfect answer for that. Got it? The logic you give behind such answers should be perfect, and it was convincing.
Yes, sir. And sir, regarding gender issue,
regarding gender, both answer, I am saying the same thing. Okay? All you are happy with your gender. Let it be. You have the choice, na?
Yes, sir.
You have choice. You have to select.
Generally, you substantiated well. So, I mean, ideally, I would have preferred you are choosing for either the female or the third gender, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that whether you are able to substantiate that or not, and you were able to. So, that way, don't worry about it. Though, whenever the question of sensitivities are there, make sure that you are able to show that you are extra sensitive when it comes to marginalized section, including women, which you were able to when we were discussing solo thing.
Yes, sir.
Right? All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.